Hey guys, can everybody hear me okay? I was feeling around with my mic again. I always try to get the best sound quality before I come on here. Looks like Darren and Texas are in here right now. So, hey guys, um, let me know if you can hear me good, and I'll adjust it and put the mic closer or whatever. Uh, but I've got a I signed up for like a free month of Shutterstock where I could get these nifty, cool background images. Thank you, Darren. Okay. Um, and I don't know. It's $29 a month, and you can download 10 images a month. Um, so I thought, well, I might, keep this up until I get all the images that I want. Because they got a lot of really awesome images. There were some that I wanted to use maybe in the fall or around Halloween, um, that had like creepy looking scarecrows and like these fall scenes. And I'm actually liking the way they look with my green screen better than these pieced together things that I have been doing. So, um, anyway, I've got this kind of creepy background behind me, and I got it from Shutterstock in case, some of you guys are thinking about, have adding a green screen to your any live streams that you do. Um, Shutterstock might be a good place to start. Like I said, they gave me a free month. You can only download 10 images, but um, I think if I keep paying the $29 a month or whatever, I can probably get all the images I would ever need. So I'm really liking this. What do you guys think about the kind of new and improved background I've got? Um, I'm also gonna be I'm also gonna be getting some extra lights. I've got new lights, but I've been doing a lot of research into what would make the live streams better, and I still think I look too pale on these, and I think it's because I haven't got the lighting just quite right for the natural skin tones for me. Trust me, I'm not this pale. I mean, I am still ill, but when I look at myself in a mirror or something, I'm not this pale. So, and Steve has kind of indicated that the light looks too harsh that's coming right on my face. So, um, I may see what I can do about adjusting that. But it seems like this overhead, like fluorescent type light that I've got over my computer, if I don't have it pointed towards the green screen, then the green screen, the whatever the image is on the green screen won't show up. Um, but anyway, when I get paid again, I'm going to invest in more lights, some more key lights and floodlights and reflectors and all that stuff. Because, like I said before, I'm not trying to be professional. I mean, I don't think that I'm gonna get where I'm gonna be able to monetize. I mean, not that that's why I do these things. That's not my ultimate goal. My ultimate goal is to provide entertainment and information about movies, and to get to hang out with you guys several times a week usually. So I mean, that's what my ultimate goal is, but I like to make them look the best I can, so they're more enjoyable for you guys. uh, I'm also going to be getting some multicolored strip lights where I can either have rainbow colors or I can have one solid color. I know Steve has some strip lights at his desk that he uses, and he also has his little kind of spinny multicolored light that he has in the background. Uh, Darren, you said the background's cool. Looks like something from Session 9. Yeah, actually, it does. There are some others that I saw on Shutterstock that look like the inside of either a mental hospital or just a regular, creepy old decrepit hospital, that could be used too. There were several pictures that it was so weird because I've been to Waverly Hills here in Louisville, the old TB hospital. Uh, and some of the images reminded me of that old TB hospital, Waverly Hills. So, I mean, I don't know if anybody's taken pictures of it and kind of altered them and made them into backgrounds. But it really looked pretty cool and looked similar to Waverly Hills, the inside of Waverly Hills anyway. Texas, you say I should get some strobes. Yeah, I might look into that, but I don't. The thing is, I'm not sure if strobes would be too distracting. Distracting for you guys and distracting for me. Um, but I'll do some more research. Like I said, the last. You're kidding. But some people might like strobes, I also don't want to give anybody a seizure if I've got anybody that comes to my live streams or watches my videos that might have epilepsy. That's the last thing I would want to do. Hey, Dirk. Actually, Dirk, I haven't even gotten started yet, so I hope you don't worry that you missed anything. Um, but I think Wednesdays is going to be uh, my Cheese Extreme Wednesday, until I run out of cheesy horror movies to cover. Um, so, well, thank you, Darren, for saying that. I mean, I try, I'm not, I'm making more money than I was, but I don't know how some people afford the stuff that they get. I mean, I had to wait a long time to even get my racing chair that I have now because, I held off for so long because I thought, and it's still not really needed for my videos. But I just thought it was something cool to add, and it is actually comfortable. I have gotten adjusted to sitting in it. It took me a little bit to get used to it. The only thing, and I think I said this before, is the footstool or the footrest or whatever is not really sturdy, and I don't really trust it to even. I'm not a extremely heavy person, but even putting the weight from my legs and my feet on this was weighing it way down. And I was like, I don't know about this. So what I've got it is secured now where it won't even slide out a bit because the first night I was doing the video with this racing chair, the footrest kept sliding out and hitting me in the back of the leg. So I was like, this ain't gonna do. So what I told Steve is I don't even think I'm gonna use the footrest with the racing chair. I'll use all the other, the vibrating lumbar cushion and stuff like that when I need it. But I'm not gonna use the footrest. Um, but I'm going to get me a footrest that I can potentially, when I'm back in the office, take to the office with me, so that I can put my feet up on it. Because sometimes when I'm sitting with my legs hanging down for long periods of time, even an 8-hour work day, my ankles swell. So I thought that might alleviate some of that, but not to bore you guys with all that stuff. But that's just what's kind of on the horizon for me as far as the production values, as Darren said, for my videos. Yeah, Dirk. Yeah, I'm glad Darren brought that up because I saw you in your Eurocult shirt. That was awesome. Uh, Now you just need to get a Deadites on Deck shirt. Uh, no, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding. I know Texas got one. I think he got a captain shirt, and he got a um, Texas. Didn't you get like the devil in khaki pants shirt, or the one with Uncle Bill's face really big on there? I forget which one that was, but it's hilarious. And then he got my Deadites on deck shirt. So um, plus he ordered some stuff from my Etsy shop, which was really cool. But yeah, I did see the Eurocult shirt on Dirk, and it looked really good. I wish I had the design sensibility that CK has to make these things. Not yet, oh curly jaws. I Between being sick and having to maintain the household, take care of the dogs, take care of Steve, make sure Steve's got meals. I was up till 10 o'clock last night. I didn't even do a live stream, and I was so sick by the time I got done because I was trying to make him some General Tso's chicken. And I was gonna make him the hibachi fried rice to go with it last night, and I was so sick I couldn't even get to it. And I was actually so sick a little earlier that I was crying a little bit because I'm just so exhausted of feeling sick and stuff. But I took some medicine, and I'm feeling, good enough to do this live stream. Whereas a little bit earlier, I was afraid I wouldn't. A couple hours ago. Um, let's see, Texas. You say I have a Devil, Deadites, Eurocult Captain, and UB shirts. Well, you got a whole bunch, Texas. You got more than I realized. Dirk, you say you just rewatched Mother of Tears on Blue. It's made me enjoy the movie more. I need to watch that one again. You say it's a German import. Okay. Darren, I don't really understand the hate for Mother of Tears either. I think it's a decent film all around. Texas, you're going to see Black Phone on Saturday. Um, I think probably the next movie that Steve and I are going to see at the movies is actually not a horror movie, but it's the new Thor movie. I thought it looked pretty good. I always talk about there's too many superhero movies out there, but I do like a few of them. I like the new Doctor Strange movie. I like what Sam Raimi did with it. Um, and I always like the Guardians of the Galaxy stuff, Wonder Woman. I mean, there's several of them that I do like. Deadpool. Um, Dark, really. You don't have to. I was just teasing. Um, and actually, like I said, I want to, because I don't, not that I'm trying to make a career out of selling shirts or anything, but when I sell them through T Public, because they do a lot of the legwork, I only get about $2 per shirt. So if I sold 10 shirts through them, I would get 20 bucks. I think I would probably make more if and when I get this heat transfer system. I really plan to, and then I'm gonna make things like I talked about before, a little Tony shirt from Blood Lake, and I'll come up with some other things, and hopefully I won't run into the issues I did with like T Public taking my store down because I had Deadites in the title of my shop. I had to change that, and then they told you could, and I saw other people using like Evil Dead artwork, and they kept taking my shop down every time I did it. So I finally said, screw it, I'm not doing that anymore, um, and just come up with my own stuff. I didn't use any Evil Dead artwork. Oh, Curly Jaws, you say Superman Quest for Peace is a classic. Oh, I love the old Superman movies. I always have like those. Those were another group of films that I would watch with my dad. Um, but anyway, before I get started with the movies I wanted to talk about tonight, I did want to let you guys know that I did watch part of my 4K of They Live, and it does have Dolby Atmos sound, so it looks and sounds incredible. So, uh, if any of you were thinking about purchasing They Live, maybe you're on the fence about They Live, um, I would I would definitely suggest that one. It's not that expensive either. I think maybe it was $22 or something like that on Amazon. Um, Derek, you said, I forgot how brutal the ending is. Felt a little rushed, but the rest of the movie is well paced. Oh, excuse me. Um, so, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and get started with our two cheesy movie picks for tonight. Y'all feel free to keep putting stuff in the chat, and I will glance back and forth at the chat and respond to things, and hopefully, I won't miss anybody along the way. So, the first one, we're just going to go ahead and get started with the top one I've got here, and that is Blood Harvest. I was actually able to go back and rewatch this one today. I was going to rewatch Blood Rage too, which is the second movie I'm going to talk about, and not the Yoo-Hoo Killer, as me and Steve called that other Blood Rage movie, but the one that takes place on Thanksgiving has Louise Lasser in it, um, and we'll go into that more in detail here after we finish Blood Harvest. Um, so how many of you? Just want to, get an average. Well, old Curly Jaw's already said he's never seen Blood Harvest, but it looks interesting. I think you should give it a try, but I'm just curious how many of you other guys in here have already seen Blood Harvest. I was thinking Darren had seen it, but Darren, feel free to correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Um, this movie, I always talk about it being the one and only horror movie that I know of that has Tiny Tim in a pretty uh, big role. I mean, he shows up in quite a few scenes in this. Um, so, Texas, you've seen both. You say Blood Rage rules. I think it does. I certainly think it does. Um, Dirk, you say, oh, Curly, the Giant Claw 1957 was a hard watch. Boy, I was cussing your ass last night. LOL. Oh, Dirk, I think old Curly Jaws recommended it to me too. I haven't managed to get around to watching it, um, but I don't know now if I should try it anytime soon or not. Um, Dirk, you say, I know I've seen it, but it's been many moons. Okay. Darren, you say I've seen it and it was so to be honest. Needs a rewatch as it's been years. Yeah, I'm like that with a lot of movies. I don't know why really. I guess it's just because it's so cheesy and odd and bizarre and has Tiny Tim in this weird ass role where he dresses as a clown all the time and he's always singing. uh, I think that's one thing that Tiny Tim always was a performer, and no matter what he was, whether he was doing a stage show or he was in a movie, he never stopped performing. And I have respect for anybody that will try that hard because I feel like he should get some respect because he did try hard. Maybe he wasn't the best singer in the world, but man, the guy worked his ass off his whole career. And I just don't, unfortunately, he's no longer with us, but I don't think the man ever got really the respect that he probably deserved. Um, Darren, you say, I first saw Blood Rage's Nightmare at Shadow Woods. So did I. I actually got it a DVD copy like that. It was the cut version, but I did upgrade to the Arrow Blu ray. Yeah, and that's what I have here tonight. Um, Durkee said that cover art made me rent it back in the day. I do remember that, lol. Um, I don't know. I don't think I ever rented this movie. What I'm thinking, it was a blind buy for me. Uh, Back when I was buying a bunch of DVDs. And I think the copy I got, the first DVD copy I got, was one that Fred Owen Ray's Retro Media put out. And that one got pulled for some reason. Sometime after I bought my copy, it got pulled, something to do with copyright issues or something. And then the thing was out of print for longest time. And then I guess Vinegar Syndrome got the rights, and they put it back out in the Blu-ray. And you also get a DVD with this as well. But yeah, that cover art is something else, I'll tell you. I mean, who could resist, a creepy ass looking clown like that with the words Blood Harvest on there? And actually, that cover, here's the other cover, and I don't like that cover nearly as well. I love the Tiny Tim clown image. I think it works a lot better for getting somebody to say, hey, that looks interesting. I want to watch that. Or that looks creepy. I want to watch that. So before I get really deep into it, I'm just going to give you a brief plot synopsis off of the back of this Blu-ray to give you a little bit of a story. I won't give the ending away and then who the killer is away because Curly Jaws has already said that he hasn't seen it. So I don't want to ruin that for him in case he gets around to seeing it. So Jill has just returned home from college to the rural farm community where she grew up, only to discover that her parents have mysteriously vanished. Learning that her father, a banker, has become the local pariah for overseeing land foreclosures on local farmers, Jill quickly becomes the victim of a series of strange and increasingly depraved assaults. With only her childhood friend and former lover, Gary, and his mentally unstable brother, Mervo, played by Tiny Tim, willing to believe her, Jill begins to fear for her life. All the while, a stalking mass killer is abducting, torturing, and brutally killing those closest to Jill. An unrelenting, grim, and perverse psychosexual thriller, Blood Harvest mixes gruesome throat slashings, copious amounts of TNA, and an unhinged supporting performance from music sensation Tiny Tim. Long available only in heavily cut and gray market editions, Vinegar Syndrome proudly presents Blood Harvest on Blu-ray, fully uncut, uncensored, and newly restored in 4K from its recently discovered original camera negative. Now, a word about the quality of this. Kind of Vinegar Syndrome's tooting its own horn there about the quality of it. Okay, the quality, in my opinion, is quite a bit less than pristine. And that may be due to what the original source material was like. This was directed by Bill Rebane, the Wisconsin bass director. And it's low budget, of course. Doesn't have the best acting in it. It's okay. But I'm not going to lie to you and say it's like super professional acting, because it's not. The production values were okay. I'm sure Bill Rebane did what he could with what he had. Um, I I do think he picked probably the best actors he could obtain for this movie. Um, Tanya Salchek, I'm probably massacring her name, plays Jill in the movie. Um, you know, she does have a good figure, guys. So I know that's not the only thing you guys or the males in my audience are looking for necessarily, but it adds something to it for you guys. I know it does. I mean, Steve, just living with Steve, that's enough to make me realize that, guys have a start, or straight guys anyway, have a certain need for as much TNA as they can get in a movie. It just makes it better for them. I mean, I'll be honest, I realize that. Um, but guys, Brandon's still pacing around back there, and I just want to make sure that he hasn't had any accidents on my new floor again. So I'm going to put the background up, but I will try to be back as quickly as I can, okay? Okay, guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. I think Brandon did have a slight accident in the living room, but this is gross. But Reggie managed to clean it up, which kept me from having to do it, but it's still gross. Um, let's see. Let's see. Darky said there was a Mom and Pa video store here, Video Time. They had a huge horror library that Blockbuster didn't. It was so close to my house, I went at least 3 times a week. Yeah, there were certain video stores. My hometown video store was good. You know, when I first started going to the one in my small town, the one that everybody would go to called Video Corner, um, that was the mecca for me when I first started going. I was like, oh, wow, they have Halloween. Oh, wow, they have Friday the 13th. Because that was when I was just starting out, and I really got, a taste of watching stuff uncut, no longer having to watch it on TV where they cut everything out. Um, so yeah, that really opened a lot of doors for me when my family got a VCR, and we were able to go to the video store and get stuff. But yeah, we would. I think when we first got our VCR, my dad would go to this little convenience store called Quick Pick, and they had videos there too, because this is back in the days when the grocery stores had video rentals and stuff. And he would bring home several. Then when we went through a lot of those, he started going to Video Corner, and we would. I mean, my dad would bring a big stack home. It seemed like every day whenever we first got a VCR. It's a wonder we didn't get burned out. But at that point in time, there were so many movies that we hadn't seen yet. And being able to see them in the convenience of your own home was just awesome. Um, Darren, you say, I scored the VHS of Blood Harvest for 99p back in the day. Couldn't believe no one else bid. And it was the clamshell. That's awesome. I never had the VHS version. And Darren, you're saying the TNA does help in some films. Yeah, like even some really bad films, if you got some good TNA in there, guys are, more apt to sit through it. I could probably get Steve to sit through a movie you wouldn't normally sit through if it's got some nice looking chick getting naked every 5 seconds. Darren, you say, Dirk, you ready for Dress to Kill on Sunday? Uh, and Dirk, you say, oh yeah, I'm about to rewatch it and take my notes. I have that Criterion release that I need to deep dive into those special features as well. Yeah, I'm hyped, man. Well, I'm glad because this is the movie that I picked. It was kind of my wild card for the show. Steve's probably going to get tired of me doing wild cards because the last time I did a wild card, I did the Australian slasher Cassandra, which not a whole lot of people have heard of. But this time I wanted to do what was considered an American Giallo. And so I picked De Palma's Dress to Kill. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to that as well. And I'm actually looking forward to rewatching it. I believe I've got the Criterion release too, Dirk. And Dirk, you also say, yes, in some films, it's really the only thing that keeps you watching if it's that bad. Um, well, Darren, I mean, Steve seems to, I mean, I'm not saying he gets irritated with me, but I don't, well, there went one of my lights. Sorry, guys. Hold on. I'm going to get up and fix my light. Brandon, I told you not to knock my lights over. I'm going to break these things. Sorry, you guys. I knew that was going to happen because the cords, they're kind of strung out, and Brandon just keeps walking back and forth, back and forth. Brandon, you need to lay down, buddy. He just does not like me doing these things back here. He would rather me be in the living room watching a movie or something. Okay, let's see. Brandon! That's the second time you knocked that over. Get in the living room. We're going to have people thinking I'm mad. Come on, let's go. Get knocking the lights on. Okay. I just finally had to make him get out of here because that was the second time he knocked over my light. Um, and I hate to get upset with the poor old dog. He's an old man, but this is something that makes me slightly irritated. I love my dogs. I love my dogs dearly. But when Steve does his live streams, and you guys have been in his live streams, he doesn't have nearly the interruptions every once in a while. But then when I do mine, he's always in bed, so there's nobody to wrangle the dogs for me. I'm having to do everything myself, and I'm sorry to be a complainer, but I just got, sometimes you gotta let off steam. But hopefully things will settle down here. Let me check and see what y'all put in there. Darky say, yeah, I remember my mom renting a VCR just so we could record a bunch of movies, and eventually we got another player. Yeah, Steve's family rented a VCR, I think, and they also rented a satellite dish back when it would come on a trailer, Steve said, and you would actually get to watch things on satellite and try it out and see if you liked it. My family never did that. Dad just waited until he could afford to buy a VCR, and then he got one. I mean, I didn't ever hear about anybody even renting VCRs in my little town. Durkee said, Dressed to Kill is one my wife will actually watch with me. Great film. Yeah, I think that's one of those that it has just enough of all that good stuff to get a lot of different, I guess, personality types and stuff to watch it. Whereas if you have somebody that generally doesn't like horror movies, they will like, things like Dressed to Kill. And, sometimes when I talk about Stephen King movies to people, they say, well, I don't like these horror movies. I say, well, if you really want to see the magic that is Stephen King as far as in adaptations, and you don't want to watch a horror movie per se, watch Stand By Me. That's based on Stephen King's The Body. Watch The Green Mile. Watch The Shawshank Redemption. So you can still see what a masterful storyteller Stephen King is, and those are some of the great adaptations. Rob Reiner did a great job with Stand By Me, and I mean, I know I'm going off topic, but sometimes I do that. The Shawshank Redemption, The Green Mile, Frank Darabont was in the mix there. So it's just, that was the right combination. The perfect writer, the perfect directors, that really made those things great. Even something like The Dead Zone is really not all that horrific. I mean, it's got some horrific stuff in it, but as far as being called a horrific film, and it's directed by David Cronenberg, as I said the other night when I was doing the Cronenberg special. Hey, John. You say, you all fans of Mountaintop Motel Massacre? I am. I am. I'll say that. You said you saw it today during lunch. It's fun. Definitely a buy for me. And very southern with all the accents. Yes. Dirk, you say, I would have 3 movies on one tape and all my friends would borrow movies from me. I was the movie guy, LOL. Oh my gosh. When I started getting a lot of DVDs, my neighbors would want to borrow the horror movies from me, and they literally would come into my house. I'd show them where my movie room was, and they would, look through them. But that one particular neighbor, I had to quit offering to let them borrow things, because at first they would get them around Halloween time, and they would get them back to me on time. Right after Halloween, they would get them back to me. But then later on, they started taking advantage. They kept keeping them, kept keeping them, kept keeping them. And I had my Salem's Lot miniseries DVD that I let them borrow. Or maybe it was the theatrical version, but whatever. It was the only version of Salem's Lot I had at the time. And so they told me that they had returned that to me, and they didn't. So basically, they stole it. And some others that I did get back from them looked like they had lipstick smeared on the disc and stuff. So just a word of warning, you got to be careful who you let borrow your shit. So I learned the hard way. Darren, you say, I'm a fan of Mountaintop Motel Massacre. It's a decent, actually quite scary film. Yes, I think the imagery, the atmosphere, all of that, and Evelyn is pretty freaking scary. Darren, you know that, like that first scene, like that still photo at the beginning of Evelyn when I guess she was supposed to be in the mental hospital? That was creepy as shit. Darky said, I've heard of that, John. I still haven't seen it. I need to change that. Let's see. Darren, you say, I recently rewatched The Dead Zone after nearly 40 years and loved it. Yeah, that is one powerful film. And probably one of my favorites that Cronenberg did, just because, like I said during the Cronenberg special, that shows you how versatile Cronenberg can be. He was given some material that was not his, but he made it his own, and I thought he did a phenomenal job with that. Yes, Texas. The lesson I learned was never lend my stuff out. Durkee said, I always think of The Believers when I hear about the Dead Zone. I think because that was a double feature for me. I got you. Got you. So anyway, back to Blood Harvest, but y'all feel free to keep putting stuff in there. So, like I was saying, Itonia Salchek is the main girl in this movie, and there are several times where she gets naked in the film. And there are at least a couple of times when somebody else gets her naked, uses chloroform or something to knock her out, and she doesn't remember later. They, take her clothes off, take pictures of her, and make a little shrine to her. So, and there are other scenes where Merv, Tiny Tim's character, just shows up out of the blue and just comes in people's houses. He comes in on Jill and scares her several times. Her childhood friend, Gary, is Merv's brother. And so he's constantly, it seems like Gary's having to wrangle up Merv and take him back home and make him apologize to Jill for scaring her and all that. Nudity notwithstanding, Itonia Salchek does go around in some skimpy, not negligees, but little house coat. Well, they're not really house coats. I guess robes, like really short mini robes that are those silky, sexy ones. When I think of house coat or something, I think about what my mom used to wear. And she probably does still now. I mean, and not all of her house coats were like ugly or dowdy or anything, but it's just not, it's not the thing, a type of thing that you would think was sexy. But that's what me and my brother saw my mom in as kids. She's not going to walk around in something skimpy in front of us. I'm sure when her and my dad first got married, I'm sure there was plenty of that going on. Although I don't want to think about it, but Uh, let's see. Dougie say, yeah, I can't loan nothing out now. I just send people a link to buy. LOL. Yeah, play. It's better to play it safe. Darren, you say that's one I've always wanted to see, The Believers. I think I've seen it, but it has been a long while since I've seen it. Texas, you said Believers scared me to death when Martin Sheen's wife gets shocked to death. Yeah, I mean, there's certain, as y'all are talking about this, it sounds very familiar, and I know the movie of which you speak, but I don't know if I've just watched parts of it or, not at all. My brain, as I've said before, my brain's a little more fuzzy than it used to be. But I don't think, another thing about this movie is I don't think this movie is overly bloody. It's got a decent amount of TNA in it. I think that the plot moves along well enough to keep you interested. This movie's only an hour and 27 minutes long. And like I said, I think if you guys watch it, like old Curly Jaws, you said you had not seen it before. I think you'll figure out who the killer is early on because I don't think they do a very good job of hiding it. They show up close. The killer has a stocking on, but they show up close the face. The nose is kind of pressed in by the stocking, but you can pretty well figure out who the killer is. But I'm not going to give it away to you because I don't want to potentially ruin it for anybody that has not seen it that might wish to. This movie actually was a 1986 film, but for some reason I'm thinking it didn't come out till a little bit later. They actually listed as 88 minutes, but I was pretty sure that it was 87 minutes, but I'm not going to quibble about that. Darren, you want to know if there's commentary on the Blu-ray? Let's see. There is a brand new commentary track with producer and co-writer Leszek Borinsky. But I believe that is the only commentary. While we're talking about commentary, I'll talk about the other special features on it. There's not a whole lot. It's newly scanned and restored in 4K from its 16 millimeter original camera negative. So this wasn't 35 millimeter, it's 16 millimeter. Every critic is going to butcher it. An archival interview with Tiny Tim on Blood Harvest, which is actually pretty interesting. Tiny Tim performed some raw interview footage from Niagara Falls, September 3rd, 1987, which is also interesting. Booklet with essay by Tiny Tim biographer. Yes, he did have a biographer. Justin A. Martell. Reversible cover artwork. And I'll show you this little booklet that comes with this. You can see it says Marvelous Mervo at Your Service by Justin A. Martell. And it's not super long, and you get some pictures, like behind the scenes pictures. This one picture is definitely behind the scenes. And I believe when Joe Bob showed Blood Harvest on the last drive-in, I believe they had Justin Martell on there talking about Tiny Tim. Let's see. Darky said, yeah, it scared the shit out of me too, Texas, back when we weren't so desensitized. Exactly. John, you said Blood Rage is awesome. Best Jacksonville set movie ever. Yes, I would agree with that as well. John, you said it was filmed in 83, I think. Delayed a lot. Yeah. No, that's okay, John. You don't have to be sorry about saying some stuff about Blood Rage. I mean, we're going to talk about it here in a little bit anyway. Darren, you say, yes, it sat on the shelf for a long time. I read that somewhere. Um, Dirk, you say, y'all gonna watch Eating Alive commentary tomorrow in the Dead Pit? It was my pick. Judd is just misunderstood. LOL. um, I I would like to, Dirk, but it all depends on how I'm feeling. Um, Again, I'm being so distracted by Brandon. I wish to goodness I gave him a sleep pill, but he just continues to pace and pace and pace. Even though I've got him behind the gate now, he just keeps pacing. So if I seem a little distracted, that's why. Darren, you say, come to think of it, both films sat on the shelf for a while. Yeah, I believe they did. Um, so, what else can I say about this? Oh, I wanted to bring up Sheriff Buckley in this movie. And for those of you that have seen Blood Harvest, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. This has to be one of the laziest sheriffs in the history of movie sheriffs that I've ever seen. All this guy wants to do is play baseball and play poker. He doesn't want to take care of the town. He doesn't care anything about the safety of any of the residents of the town. He doesn't care anything about helping Jill find her parents. Um, and he seems uh, to have zero concern that her parents are missing, and they knew she was coming home from college for a visit. And two, he seems to have zero concern that her house has been vandalized, or her parents' house has been vandalized, uh, and a dummy hung up in the doorway that looks like it's been burned up, um, and that she's getting calls that say, fuck you, bitch. I mean, it's like, it's a small town, dude. You think you could take care of this town a little bit better than that? And, you know, when it gets down to the nitty gritty, he's never there to protect Jill when she needs to be protected. Um, Darren, you say depends on whether I'm awake, Dirk. We'll watch it either way, though, for sure. John, you say, I haven't seen Blood Harvest. If it's on Tubi, I'll add it. Um, You know, John, I think at one time it was on Tubi, but I'm not really sure if it's on there now. Um, Dargy said, I need to watch Blood Harvest again. It's been at least 30 years. Oh, definitely. Yeah, I think you're due for a rewatch, Dirk. Um, Something else I wanted to bring up, and I didn't really notice this before, but when Jill comes home and, you know, she finds out her parents are not there, that they're missing. Um, she, of course, goes on and comes into the house and goes up, I guess, to her childhood bedroom. But I'm like, what in the hell is this one picture that's on the wardrobe? There are two weird pictures on that wardrobe. And if you guys don't know what I mean, go back and, for those of you that have seen it already, go back and rewatch this. When you're in Jill's, like I said, childhood bedroom, take a look at the wardrobe behind her in some shots. There is one picture that looks like, I don't know if it's supposed to be some famous person or something, actor or something, but it looks like a Andy Warhol kind of pop culture type picture. It's got all these colors on it and stuff. And then the other picture on the left looks like some weird horror movie picture, like something that would be from uh, oh shoot, Race with the Devil or something like that, or you know, something with devil worshippers that would have cloaks and stuff. Either that or it looks like a man dressed like a nun. I mean, either way, I don't know what it's doing in the bedroom. I don't know what purpose it serves, but it is weird. It just adds an extra layer of weirdness to a movie that's already quite bizarre. Um, but I urge you to check that out if you go back and rewatch it. Dirk, you say yes, John. It's on Tubi. Okay. Yeah, I'm glad I found out about the ad free Tubi as well through Steve. Um, Brandon's still pacing back there. I don't know how the dog does it. I mean, he has a pill in him and everything, and he cannot stand it. I was trying to think if there was anything else I wanted to bring up about this movie before I move on to the next movie. Um, I think those were like the highlights. But hey, Wesley, um, I still would urge you guys, if you've never seen Blood Harvest, I urge you to watch it. It's entertaining. I mean, I find it very entertaining and really an unusual type of horror movie. You don't see many horror movies designed quite like this. Um, but yeah, if you can watch it on Tubi, it might still be on Shutter on the last drive-in for those of you that have a Shutter subscription. But anyway, again, that is Blood Harvest. Highly recommend it. So, with that being said, we're going to move on to the next film that I wanted to discuss tonight, Blood Rage, with the epic tagline, "This Thanksgiving it's not cranberry sauce." And if you watch this movie, you'll figure out why that is the tagline for this movie, because the killer in the movie says it quite often before he kills someone, usually. Uh, let's see. Dark, you say Steve knows a thing or two about a thing or two. Well, he likes to think he does, Dirk. He's always like, since you brought Steve up, I meant to talk about this earlier, and it doesn't have anything to do with Blood Rage, really. But, when I was talking about my videos and how I'm trying to make them look better and all that stuff, Steve never thinks my videos look any better, no matter what I do. No matter what I try to do as far as production values that I can afford, he just thinks it's all for naught. Um, and he's always telling me, he's like, "You're too close to the camera, Dana. There's too much light on your face." Um, he hardly ever tells me anything good about them, so it's kind of nice to have some positive input. I'm not saying anybody has to kiss my ass, but it is nice that you guys say genuinely nice things. Oh, Texas, you say you got to change this phone. Sorry for that. See you later. Thanks for the stream, Dana. Well, you're welcome, Texas, and I hope you got to hear me say that before you had to go. But thank you for stopping by as long as you could. I do appreciate it. Let's see. But anyway, to get back into Blood Rage, this is the arrow release. You see the little A down there. I really like this artwork. I like this artwork better than this artwork. Actually, this is okay, and it's kind of cool in a way, but I just like this better. Um, so I know some of you said that you had seen Blood Rage, um, but for anybody that has not seen it, I mean, the killer is not a secret. I mean, that's obvious. I'll tell you that up front. And that's not the type of film this film is. It's not one that's meant to keep the killer hidden. There's really no reason in this film to keep the killer a secret. So I'm going to give a little plot synopsis about this from the back of the Blu-ray. So what do you get if you combine Thanksgiving, TV star Louise Lasser from Mary Hartman, killer 80s synths, and some truly gruesome special effects courtesy of Ed French Terminator 2 Judgment Day. Why it's blood rage, of course. Twins Todd and Terry seem like sweet boys. That is until one of them takes an axe to the face of a fellow patron at the local drive-in. Todd is blamed for the bloody crime and institutionalized, whilst twin brother Terry goes free. 10 years later, as the family gathers around the table for a Thanksgiving meal, the news comes in that Todd has escaped. But has the real killer, in fact, been in their midst all along? Shot in 1983, but not released until 1987, Blood Rage is a gloriously gruesome slice of 80s slasher heaven, now restored from the original negative for its world Blu-ray debut. Okay, so I love this movie for a lot of reasons, but one extra little perk is at the beginning of this movie, which the beginning of the movie was actually, I think, the only part of the movie that was not filmed down in Jacksonville. I believe that it might have been filmed in New Jersey or somewhere up north. And these are the scenes at the drive-in. I think it was filmed at an old drive-in in New Jersey. Ted Raimi is actually in the film for a few seconds. It's a blink and you'll miss him performance as a condom salesman in the bathroom of the drive-in. I don't know if there were ever condom salesmen, like young guys selling condoms in the bathroom of a drive-in. I can't say I've ever heard of it. You know, I was never in a men's bathroom at a drive-in, so I wouldn't know exactly what goes on in there. I figured there might be condom dispensers, but I did not know that there were condom salesmen. And perhaps that's a made-up thing. I don't know. John, you said that, damn, Terry. Exactly. Dirk, you say, Dana, your stream is like the cheer song. That's a good thing. Well, I'm glad because, you know, I like the cheer song. You want to go where everybody knows your name and all that stuff, you know. So, you know, I hope that you know, not that it's like a bar in here, but you know, the bar in Cheers, it's where everybody goes to hang out. And that's what I want my live streams to be. A place where horror movie fans can come and hang out and not feel like they're judged for the material they like or don't like or whatever. And just, you know, let our hair down, kick our shoes off, and just enjoy each other's company and talk about movies. That's all I want to do. There's nothing really elaborate that I'm trying to do with these. I'm not trying to make a statement. I'm not trying to browbeat anybody with anything. I'm just here to have fun. And so that was a really positive thing that you brought up, Dirk. I hadn't thought about it that way, but since you brought the cheer song up, yeah. John, you say Ted Raimi does like a 3-minute interview on the Blu-ray. LOL. Everyone else talked for 15 minutes. Yeah, I guess that's all the time Ted Raimi had to participate in an interview. Darren, you say there's an awesome horror community here on YouTube. I definitely agree with that, which is, you know, not to get too off topic, but this is something I brought up to Steve. And if you guys like this stuff that I'm getting ready to talk about, that's perfectly fine. But as much as there's a awesome horror community and a lot of positivity on YouTube, there is a certain amount of negative energy on YouTube as well. And I've seen it firsthand because Steve likes to watch drama on these videos, and I don't like there to be a lot of drama. I know that I've complained about certain things or kind of told y'all a little bit personal things about me, but I try not to go on about that too much. But there are some of these videos that Steve watches where it's just all infighting and calling each other pedophiles and, one person will bash the other. Um, there have even been, I don't know how many of you guys have heard of Ethan Ralph, but he got in it. Steve said when he first started watching Ethan Ralph's videos that he did, the guy wasn't too bad, and then all of a sudden he just turned into a cocky asshole and started attacking everybody and stuff. And then he got in his head that just because this guy named Andy Worski has family in Portugal, he actually went to Portugal, uh, and got the snot beat out of him both times when he went there. People, I think, came from England this last time and beat the shit out of him. So, and all this stuff is on YouTube if you guys were interested in, checking it out. But then Andy Worski and a guy that does live streams with him, as well as other people doing live streams, um, they make fun of Ethan Ralph all the time. And um, they have the Keno Casino or something, Andy Worski and his buddy that do the live streams. And all they talk about mostly is Ethan Ralph. Then there's a few other people. And I told Steve, I said, seriously, you find this entertaining? Because he watches it all the time. It's not like he watches a video here, video there. On the weekends especially, it's like he'll have that shit going on in the background while he's playing his wrestling game. And after a while, I honestly have to tune out. Now, again, I'm not a I'm not a drama queen. I'm not really interested in people's drama on the internet. And that's not entertainment to me. Entertainment for me is this kind of stuff. So, I do agree with you, Darren, that there is an abundance of good content out there and a good camaraderie among the horror community. It's just you got a few bad apples rolling around in there that are only interested in I don't know, trying to cause trouble for other people, and I don't know why. John, you say, yeah, the gaming community is the worst. They eat at each other. Just play video games. LOL. The movie community is a lot nicer. Yeah, and these guys that I was just talking about aren't really gamers either. I I don't know where they came from, and I don't know how Steve finds them. He just says he kind of goes down a black hole, like he finds one video like that, and then these other like suggestions pop up, and I'm like, well, whatever. But anyway, back to Blood Rage. Ted Raimi is in there like for a few seconds. But it was worth it to me. But the movie itself, I enjoy too. I'm not just watching it for Ted Raimi's few seconds on screen. Um, and the first time I watched it was the Nightmare at Shadow Woods version. I got a really super cheap DVD, I believe, from Amazon. And the only reason I got it is because I heard Ted Raimi was in it. But then when I watched the movie, it was actually, I was like, this is a pretty cool horror movie. You know, Louise Lasser, of course, is flaky as hell in this movie, but I think her performance adds so much to it. Um, let's see. John, you said the Facebook groups I'm in can be dramatic. I'm in is that Tennessee Horror Club, and it went from horror movies and discussion to sex memes. Kind of lame. Dead Pit Group still is awesome on Facebook. Yeah, the Dead Pit Group is one of the few on Facebook where you don't see infighting and stuff. And I think the most of that, I think that is the way that CK has the moderation set up. I don't really think that CK is interested in people infighting and large amounts of drama on there. Um, I don't know for sure, but I thought Steve was like a moderator on there as well. So if anything did get out of hand, they would probably make sure that the stuff got removed or the people got removed if they had to be. And I think CK and Uncle Bill have both had their fair share over time of unnecessary drama, and they probably just don't even want to have to deal with that anymore. And I couldn't blame them. Um, Durkee said, I agree, Darren. Not a big fan with the mainstreamers and talking about screaming Halloween for the thousandth time. Um, but Dirk, I hope you didn't mind me whenever I kind of gush about Halloween, um, because it. If I ever get on y'all's nerves talking about one particular movie or a couple of particular movies too much, then feel free to nicely suggest, because I might cry if you were. I mean, but I don't think you guys are going to be mean. But I really, my intention is not to annoy you guys with these things. But I'm guessing I'm not annoying you, or you wouldn't keep showing back up. Darren, you say, Dirk, I don't like those videos either. That's why I try to talk about more obscure films to get the word out. Yeah, I like to talk about, a mixture of stuff that's maybe more in the mainstream, but then obscure films too, because when you talk about the obscure films that not a lot of people have heard about, maybe that will introduce somebody to a film that they would not have known about otherwise. Johnny said, agreed. I love Halloween and all, but it's nice to hear about the odd movies. Yeah, and that's part of my reasoning behind wanting to do these Cheese Extreme Wednesdays. So I'm going to have to pick out a couple more movies for next Wednesday's selections. So hopefully I can pick some that y'all will like. I'm basically just going back to my shelf and like going through them alphabetical order, and just when I come to a couple of cheesy ones, I'm pulling them out, and that's what I do. Darky said, no, Dana, not you. You're not just doing it for views, and you cover a lot of stuff I've never seen. Okay, cool. And the other thing is, I'm glad that you guys are honest with me, because I don't want, like I said, it is not my intention for people to just kiss my butt. And, I've said before, it's okay if you don't like some of these films I'm talking about. I mean, I like it when old Curly Jaws is in here, just like he was in here for the Phantasm thing, and he said the first Phantasm was the worst and Ravager was the best, because you know what? That actually gives us an opportunity to kind of bat the ball back and forth, kind of like we're playing volleyball or something, or playing a tennis match. And I think that makes the live stream more interesting. It's not just me up here just talking all the time. It's like I get some feedback from you guys, and that helps things be not just me talking and boring everybody. John, you say, hell yeah, I love deep diving on Bloodhook. I love deep diving on a lot of these movies, especially the cheesy ones. But I brought up Louise Lasser. I don't know how familiar all of you guys are with Louise Lasser. I don't think I ever watched one episode of Mary Hartman, Mary Hartman. But just about everything I have seen Louise Lasser in, she's batshit crazy. And I'm thinking that she must have, like, in real life been a little odd. But she's definitely odd in this movie, because I'm guessing she's either an alcoholic or bordering on being an alcoholic. And the first scenes that take place in a drive-in, Louise Lasser is obviously too old to be making out at a drive-in. I mean, she's got her two young sons in the back back of the station wagon or whatever. Um, and she's like making out with the guy she's with, like a 16, 17-year-old girl, uh, you know, that's going to have her first sexual experience. And the woman has two boys. She has twin boys. She's obviously had sex before. And that just, I laugh every time I see that scene. And the guy she's with reminds me so much of Bruce Campbell. Um, for those of you that have seen Blood Rage, do you think that first guy in the car with Louise Lasser looks a little like Bruce Campbell? Uh, let's see. Darren, you say, Dana, Dirk, you had your VS orders yet? Nope, Darren, I have not, and have not yet got an email saying they're shipping them out. Um, did you get yours yet, Darren? John, you say, do y'all watch some of these bad movies and initially hate them, then love them a day later? I'm kind of like that, John. I don't know if it's a day later. Sometimes it might be a year later or a couple of years before I change my mind. But yeah, you say that's me with many of these cheesy slashers. They stick with you long term. John, you say still no vinegar syndrome here. Yeah, I think we're all just about in the same boat. Dirk, you say, I've been diving deep into 2001 A Space Odyssey and looking at it as a horror now. There's some true terror if you put yourself in Bowman's place. Oh, definitely, Dirk. I would even like to discuss 2001 A Space Odyssey. Perhaps I can do a whole Kubrick thing at some point. Darren, you say, I guess I got lucky with my vinegar syndrome. Let me ask you this, Darren. Did you add to your order? Because I added to my order at least once, and I can't remember if it was John or Dirk or who it was that added to their order more than once. But I just added once, and I guess that was enough to push me way back down there. Okay, Dirk, you say, I just got my vinegar syndrome and not all the titles I ordered. Man, that's aggravating. I still need 3 movies I added later. Okay, gotcha. Darren, you say, I had mine 10 days ago. It took 2 days to get to me from the U.S. to the U.K. And you didn't add to your order. Okay. But they still made you wait a long ass time even though you didn't add to your order. John, you say, Evie from Vinegar Syndrome responded to me today and said all orders should finish going out this week, so we'll see. Yeah, that's Evie was the one that talked to me too, John, about a week ago, and they told me the same thing. But the 30th is tomorrow, and that's the end of the month. So yeah, I'm like you. We'll see. John, you're the one that added twice to yours. Okay, gotcha. But for those of you that have seen Blood Rage, what did you think of Louise Lasser's character? I just want to hear some other impressions of that character. Am I way off base, or did you think that chick was batshit crazy? Darren, you say you're waiting on Severn now. Because, like I said, she's seems to be either an alcoholic or bordering on an alcoholic. There is one particular scene where she's sitting on the floor in her Thanksgiving dress, with the refrigerator propped open and a bowl of what appears to be like macaroni and cheese or something, eating it with her hands out of the bowl. And I think by this time she's drank maybe a couple, 2, 3, maybe 5 big glasses of wine. And I mean, she's not just pouring a little bit. She's pouring an entire glass of wine when you see her drinking it. And in every shot she's in, every dress that she's in, her chest area looks like it's torturing her breast. It looks like her breasts are twisted up in the fabric of these dresses in such a painful way that I would be screaming if it was me. So there are a lot of weird quirks to her character in this. Derek, you say expect to get 2 or 3 packages, John. John, you say, oh, she was crazy as hell. Her eyes and acting was like a mental patient. Yes, exactly. Darren, you say I'm spot on with that character. Okay. uh, Dirk, you say I'm waiting on Severin, but we'll probably get my Kino first, and Criterion's coming up. My wife's going to be pissed at me. LOL. Oh, I don't know, Dirk. I mean, it doesn't sound like your wife watches a lot of horror movies, but I don't get pissed at Steve for buying movies as long as he doesn't. Like, sometimes he gets irritated with me or a little pissed with me for buying stuff, and not just movies, um, but I look at it this way. I feel like as long as I'm carrying my weight in this marriage as far as helping out with bills and things like that, and like I've said before, I get groceries every week. I pay the water bill, and the water bill is monthly now. Um, and I pay the garbage bill. I get my medicines because I am on 2 types of insulin. And I also get my anxiety medicine, my antidepressant, all that. Um, Steve's not required to buy that stuff. So I feel like if I, do all those things, then I should be able to use a little bit of my money and get some things that I like. He doesn't always feel the same, but I never complain if he buys something. Sometimes there have been times where he's accused me of getting something every day, but on the other side of that coin, there have been times when I've seen a movie come for him every single day or trickle in every other day, um, or he's gotten several movies at once. And I don't say a word. If the mortgage is getting paid and we're not going to lose our house, or the electric's not going to get shut off, or whatever, um, I'm not overly concerned. So, or not concerned at all. But anyway, Darren, you say Tenebrae 4K is the next big one, and that Arrow Jallo box set a week later. Can't wait. Actually, I had my Tenebrae 4K pre-ordered from Amazon because it came down in price so much. I think it was like $32. Um, and also, I've got the Friday the 13th 4K on pre-order as well. Because it was like $19.95 or $19.99, something like that. Dirk, you say, hell yeah, Darren, I got that Synapse release coming. Um, so, another person I want to talk about is Mark Soper, who plays a dual role of Terry and Todd. And I really think he does a really good job. I don't remember seeing Mark Soper on anything else. I think he may have been in 1 or 2 other films, or maybe a television show or something like that. And he is interviewed on this set, which is a good interview. And I'm going to talk about these special features here in just a little bit. And I think the special effects that Ed French did were excellent, very effective in the movie. And I'm glad with this release, we actually get to see them in all their uncut glory. If you have not seen Blood Rage, I highly urge you to try to find a copy of it. This one again might be on Tubi as well. If you don't want to order it, if you want to just see if you would like the film enough to want to buy it, then I would check Tubi first and see if it's on there. Let's see. John, you say, yeah, I'm going to do Kino and Criterion, I think. If Arrow doesn't sell, I'm effed, lol. My wife, Becca, doesn't care, but I try not to spend crazy. Yeah, I think I'm probably like your wife, John, because, like I said, if the mortgage is getting paid and the electric's not getting shut off, or, or Steve's coming, not coming to, Steve's coming to me and saying, God, I need $500 because I overspent and I can't pay the mortgage if you don't give me $500 this month. So, um, since I started making more money, and since Steve is making more money with his new position, um, we haven't had nearly the arguments over money that we used to. Used to, when I was making a lot less money, it seemed like Steve expected more of me financially. So I don't really understand that. He would get mad whenever I would like go out with my neighbor and my friend and go do things. Now, I mean, I do understand him getting upset when I had the credit card trouble. That was wrong. But, you know, I'm not going to keep airing dirty laundry, but, when you guys talk about your spouses, it gets me thinking. Um, Johnny said, Blood Rage is an absolute buy, worth it. Yeah, I agree. I agree too, John. But I don't. I always like to say if you can find it to watch it for free, if you're just unsure, even if you hear my review and I give it a glowing review, it's understandable that some people might still be unsure um, if they actually want to put down the money for it until they actually see it. Um, so the special effects are great. I think Mark Soper is great in the dual role. I even think Louise Lasser, even though she's batshit crazy in this movie, it works. Everything works in this movie. Um, I can't really think of any bad things to say about this movie. Perhaps some of you that have seen it could mention something. Um, and I'd be glad to, read those out if you want to put those in the chat. Um, but I was trying to think if there was anything else specifically I wanted to cover. Well, there are several scenes of one of the chicks getting naked. So you've got your TNA in this one as well. Um, Although I think Steve said she's a little thick. I mean, she's not fat or anything, but I guess Steve thought that they could have maybe had a skinnier chick get naked multiple times. But, whatever. Um, and then there's a woman that lives in the apartment complex that she never calls her baby by a name. She just calls the baby baby. And she almost forgets her baby at the pool. Like, there's some very quirky, off the wall characters, but I think all of this works within a film like Blood Rage. Um, and Ed French actually has a role in the film. His is a real short role, and he ends up being dispatched pretty quickly. But I think he does a really good job in his role as a date of the lady with the baby. Uh, John, you say, I can't say I buy every Arrow release, but anything they put out is great quality. They're the best, I think. I think Studio Canal does great transfers, too. Yeah, I mean, I used to, say a little bit more about some of the others, but I look at it this way. Like, Scream Factory is way too expensive anymore. I'm not saying I don't get anything from them, but they overprice the hell out of their stuff. Vinegar Syndrome keeps pissing me off because of the way that their protocol for sending stuff out sucks. I think they could do it and be fair to everybody instead of just being fair to the people that order bundles and spend a lot of money. Um, and Severin, I mean, they're pretty decent, but again, sometimes there's delays with Severin getting stuff out to you. Not as bad, in my opinion, as Vinegar Syndrome. Vinegar Syndrome is getting horrible. And maybe they need to quit having these big, like, a million halfway to Black Friday sales or whatever. If this is how the little guy's going to be treated, the guy or gal that can't afford to spend as much as somebody that has a bigger wallet or bigger budget, bigger bank account, whatever. Um, John, you say Kino too. Kino redid Body Slam wrestling movie, and I was floored by the quality. I hadn't seen it since VHS. Darky say Blue Underground's expensive, but their work is top notch. I did pass on Uncle Sam though. I did too, Dirk, because I never really cared that much for Uncle Sam. Uncle Sam is like in the same camp as Jack Frost for me. And I don't mean Jack Frost with Michael Keaton. I mean Jack Frost, the horror movie. I rewatched it whenever Joe Bob had it on his Christmas show or whatever, but I'm still not extremely fond of it. Um, let's see. Darren, you say, I really like the Mondo Macabro releases. Got 3 or 4 recently, and they're nicely priced with some great special features. I'm mainly buying sales now. It's the only way to do it, really. Yeah, I would agree with you there, Darren, because if you don't go with the sales, stuff is so damn expensive anymore. Um, but I would like to get some Mondo Macabro stuff. But Steve has several releases. I don't know that he's bought anything here recently, but he has a whole bunch of them over there on his shelf. Um, but I do agree that Blue Underground does rule. And ooh, I think I would like to have the Vigilante 4K. Is that the one um, with Robert Forster, John, or is that another Vigilante? Because I know I have a Blu-ray of Vigilante with Robert Forster in it. Um, but you guys keep on putting some stuff in the chat. I'm going to go over. There are 3 discs in this. So I'm just going to go over the special features and stuff real quickly here. This is a 3-disc director approved limited edition. Okay, yeah, that's the one I've seen. Yes, it is an awesome exploitation action thriller. Another one that I like really well is The Exterminator. If you've not seen that one, John, you should try that one out. Darky say, do you have any criterion you want to get? I already have a list ready, LOL. It seems like there was at least one I wanted to get, but now I'm like, I'm going to have to go back and look and see what they have. Because it seems like there was something we discussed in one of my live streams, and now I've totally forgotten. Um, but like I said, this is the 3-disc director-approved limited edition. So you get 3 versions of the film: Blood Rage, the original home video version; Nightmare at Shadow Woods, the theatrical recut, and an alternate composite cut, combining footage from both versions. Original stereo 2.0 sound, which is not that great, but reversible sleeve featuring original and newly commissioned artwork by Mark Schoenbach. Fully illustrated collector's booklet featuring new writing on the film by Joseph A. Zimba, author of Bleeding Skull, a 1980s trash horror odyssey. And I'll show you this booklet here real quickly. And there's a card too for Mutilator. But this is a little Blood Rage booklet here. I'll try to show you a little bit of it. Nice shot of the popcorn blood on it. Thanks be to Blood Rage. And there's Ed French's head there. There's Terry's girlfriend. There's a cool special effect there with Louise Lasser looking crazed behind him. There's the unfortunate victim at the drive-in. There's the girl that only calls her baby baby. That's her and Ed French. And then you get a little bit about the restoration process and all that. Let's see. Darren, you say, we are quite lucky at the moment to have at least 10 quality boutique labels. Not great for our bank balances, though. That's right, Darren. John, you say, I love Uncle Sam, but not $36, love. Yeah, more like $10, love. Yeah, possibly if it came down to $10, I might possibly get it. Dirk, you say, I agree. I'm really trying not to blind buy now, but damn, it's hard. Yeah, I feel you. Darren, you say, I don't think anyone should pay more than $30 for a Blu-ray, but I've been guilty of paying more at times. Me too, Darren, me too. Dirk, you said, yeah, that's why I passed John, and certain titles I will splurge for. Yeah, that's me too. But y'all keep on chatting. I'm going to go over some more of this, the special features here. So you've got a Blu-ray disc 1 and a DVD of Blood Rage. You get a brand new 2K restoration of the hard home video version transferred from the camera negative and featuring the original title card slasher. Audio commentary with director John Grissmer. Both sides of the camera, an interview with producer and actress Marianne Cantor. Double Jeopardy, an interview with actor Mark Soper. Geez Louise, an interview with actress Louise Lasser. Man Behind the Mayhem, an interview with special makeup effects creator Ed French. 3 Minutes with Ted Raimi, an interview with actor Ted Raimi. Return to Shadow Woods featurette, revisiting the original locations in Jacksonville, Florida. Alternate opening titles. Motion Still Gallery featuring rare behind-the-scenes makeup photos. Then you get a second Blu-ray disc, Nightmare at Shadow Woods, limited edition exclusive. Nightmare at Shadow Woods, the re-edited 1987 theatrical cut featuring footage not seen in the Blood Rage home video version. Alternate composite cut of the feature combining footage from the home video and theatrical versions and never before seen outtakes. So the feature runtime on both of these, one is 82 minutes and the other is 79 minutes. John, you say, plus, honestly, is there really a huge difference in Blu-ray and 4K of Uncle Sam? I laughed my ass off. I love Bill Lustig, but that was a 90s movie gallery rental. Yeah, I mean, sometimes Steve asks me that kind of stuff, and I'm not saying anything bad about you, John, but he'll say, really, is like, are they going to be able to make something look any better in 4K? But he told me that about Zombie, which everybody pretty much agrees that has seen Zombie, that it looks amazing in Blu-ray. But I'm here to tell you that I watched Zombie in 4K. I ended up buying it, and it is worth it. It's worth every penny I gave for it, and I have no idea why Brandon hadn't went to sleep yet, because it's almost 10 o'clock. He's probably wanting me to come in there. He'll probably settle down when I come in But to me, the 4K was worth every penny. It looks fantastic on the 4K. So if any of you are on the fence about whether you should upgrade that Blu-ray to a 4K, in my opinion, it's definitely worth the price. Now, Steve, on the other hand, he said he was just going to stick with his Blu-ray. Brandon Lee, be quiet. I don't know why I talk to him. He can't hear, so he's probably not going to pay any attention to me. Darren, you say, what do you all like with slip cases? I don't get the big fascination. It's nice to get them, but overall I'm not really bothered. Well, Darren, I know I've told this story before, but it is kind of funny, and Steve kind of made fun of me over it, and I can see why. I used to, pretty much say the same thing that you said, that I didn't get the big fascination with them. I didn't need to get these slip covers and stuff. And then Steve said, well, Graduation Day has a new slip cover. And I already had the Graduation Day Blu-ray. And I said, nah, I don't need the Graduation Day slip cover. You don't have to get that for me, Steve. And then he showed it to me. And I changed my mind immediately. So, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with me. But I still don't really understand the fascination. There are people that will spend $7 on a slipcover for a movie that they probably wouldn't rent for 99 cents. You know what I mean? That I don't understand. I can kind of understand the collectability aspect of having that really cool slipcover to put on your movie. But what I can't understand is buying every single slipcover that comes out. Because not all of them are cool. Dirk, you say Zombie 4K is mind blowing. I am glad to hear you say that, Dirk, because when all I hear sometimes is Steve's opinion on it, it's nice to get other people's opinions on it. Dirk, you say, I like the slipcase, but the idea no slip, no buy is silly. I agree. But some swear the movie plays better with it. Oh my gosh. John, you say, I do think a lot can help from 4K. Anything 35 millimeter from 70s or 80s looks awesome. But I try to just buy a 4K if I don't have the movie. Yeah. John, you say, yeah, I don't care about slips. It's nice, but either way. It's not a deal breaker for me either. Dirk, you say, people buying slips for $100 or more is insane to me. I agree. John, you say, I'll pay $500 for a Big Trouble in Little China 4K. LOL. It's my favorite. I've waited for years for it. Oh, I don't know if I'd go that far, but I'm eagerly awaiting an announcement that they're going to release The Exorcist on 4K with Dolby Atmos sound. I want that. I've said that before. I'll say it again. But being as Brandon is not going to be quiet, and he's obviously going to wake up Steve if I let him continue to bark like this. I will stay on here maybe a couple more minutes or so in case there's anything that you guys want to add or comment on, ask me, whatever. But then I really will have to get off of here and I guess go sit in the living room so that Brandon will shut his trap and be quiet. Darren, you say there don't seem much point in buying a 4K for newer films unless it's something like Last Night in Soho. Older films benefit more, in my opinion. I agree with that too, Darren. Brandon, please be quiet. Again, I don't know why I'm talking to him. He can't hear me. Dirk, you say Exorcist and Exorcist 3 and 4K would be great. Yeah, we can forget about Exorcist 2. Dirk, I don't know if I've asked you this before, but do you have a Dolby Atmos set up where you can enjoy that Dolby Atmos or 7.1? I'm gonna go look at Brandon actually to see why he is going on like this. Shh, Brandon, be quiet. You would think his pill would be kicked in by now and he would go to sleep. Darren, you say Extras 4K trilogy would be a day one buy. So you would even get Exorcist 2 with Pazuzu's Reagan. Steve always says he loves Pazuzu's Reagan. Let's see. Dirk, you say I just got last night in 4K. For $13.99 on Amazon. I need to check it out. I think Steve got his that cheap too. Darren, you saying yes, I do like part 2. John, you say I run 2 tower speakers and a sub to my receiver with the digital audio converter. It's not Atmos, but it's loud as crap. Well, that works too. Exorcist 3 is great too, John. But guys, it's been fun. But it is now 10 minutes till 10. And I think that I've rambled on about Blood Harvest and Blood Rage for long enough. And I am going to have to get Brandon calmed down. And I'm going to have me a snack and take my other antibiotic and try to get some rest. Actually, I think doing these helps me forget how badly I feel. So thank you guys for that, and thank you for hanging out with me tonight. And I'll be back sometime soon with something or other. Hopefully I'll do one of these before next Wednesday. But we will be having the Extreme Cheese or Cheese Extreme Wednesday. I'm planning on next Wednesday having a couple more movies I want to discuss. Let's see. Dirk, you say you only have a sound bar. I need to get a setup. Need suggestions. Well, I'll tell you, Dirk. I have Sony Dolby Atmos speakers. I have 2 of those. My really tall speakers that my Dolby Atmos sit on top of are Polk Audio, because a guy I used to work with told me that the Polk Audio are really good speakers. They're a little on the pricier side, but they do produce great sound. Steve got a new subwoofer recently. I can't remember what the brand is. I'm thinking it was like an off-brand, but it does really good. And let's see. Or was it a subwoofer? Maybe it was, I don't know. I think it was a subwoofer, but he had a really good subwoofer before that was so powerful that you could feel air shoot out of it on your bare legs if you had shorts on or whatever, when stuff really started to amp up. Let's see. And then also, Dirk, I have 2 side bookshelf speakers that Steve has mounted on the wall. And those are also Polk Audio speakers. They're like the little bookshelf speakers, about, yay big. Thank you, Darren. I don't think that would break the bank if you got the setup that I did, but I would definitely look into the prices of both the Sony Dolby Atmos speakers and the Polk Audio speakers. You have a good night too, Darren. John, you say Dirk, Best Buy has some good deals. It's easy to get 2.1, but surround is pricey. $1,000 will get you some good stuff, I think. Well, actually, I don't think I spent that much, at least on my speakers. Now, I spent quite a bit on the Denon receiver. I want to say I spent $700 or $800 on that receiver. Well, maybe not quite that much, but it was up there. And of course, that was when I had the credit cards too. John, you say I pieced mine over time. I also went a bit expensive on a turntable, but it was a few years of adding. Yeah. I think probably it might have been a little less than 1,000 for everything if you count in my Denon receiver, which Steve told me the Denon was a good brand to get. But Brandon's starting to amp up his barking again, so um, I think I'm going to get off here for the night. And thank you guys again for hanging out with me. Thank you all for the kind words. I appreciate it. And I'll be back here soon, hopefully, with something else. Um, and I'll try to advertise it early enough where it's not just dropped in your lap last second. Um, Thank you, Dirk. You said great stream again, Dana. Y'all have a great night. Always enjoy hanging out. Thanks for the suggestions. Anytime, Dirk. Okay, so I'm going to skedaddle on out of here. Um, Thank you, John. I'm going to skedaddle on out of here, guys, and I will see everybody on the flip side. Good night.